and we're away.
Here we go again then. It's, what is it, episode 4?
5, is it 5?
5, episode 5 of a beer. Oh, well, I mean,
well, you've got more history with this one than I have, shall we say?
It was partly responsible for igniting my enthusiasm into going down the craft beer avenue, really. And when it was first launched, when was that? 2009, 2010?
I was going to say around there, because obviously I did a little bit of I don't do a lot of research, but Gamma Ray is a beer I've drank. I'm not overly au fait with it, and I thought I'd have a look at the brewery. So I didn't actually know that obviously Beavertown were actually founded by Logan Plant, who is obviously Robert Plant's son.
Robert Plant's son, yeah. Started off in a little brew set up in a pub. I forget the name of the pub now, and it went from there. I mean, it's grown even before all this buyout lark, and we'll probably touch on that as we're going through the beer. But you know, they grew to a nice sort of steady pace in the craft beer community. Turned a hell of a lot of heads because they're making some absolutely cracking beers. I guess this, again, a flagship beer of theirs.
Obviously, when we're talking about can art.
Oh, yeah. I mean, even now in 2022, it still holds up as a fantastic piece of branding. You can't really take that away from them.
No, they got it right, didn't they?
They got it right. They nailed it.
For something to stand out on the shelf, make people think, "What's that?"
Yeah, definitely. It was a big game changer, and probably responsible for a lot of craft beer breweries after them to think about doing jazzy artwork as well. Maybe.
I think that's probably absolutely spot on. Obviously, all of their stuff is very vibrant. It's very colourful. Even now, we can be honest, the beers don't match the can.
No, anymore. A big travesty as well. So an American Pale Ale weighing at 5.4% ABV. Shall we get it opened?
I don't think ABV's ever changed, is it? I think it's all stayed the same.
No, it's always stayed at 5.4.
None of this opening cans off camera.
I know when I first tried it, it was mind blowing. It really was. I have had it before, since trying it for the very first time many moons ago, but it's been a while since this review. So
I reckon the last time I would have had this is there's a pub right across the road from Great Ormond Street called The Perseverance, and they've got quite appropriate, I would imagine, just across from Great Ormond Street, and they had that on tap in there. That would have been 2 years ago. I think that's probably the last time I've ever ventured near Gamma Ray. I think.
Right. Okay. So what have we got in the glass then?
Nice amber colour.
Yeah. Not a lot of carbonation in my one.
There's a bit flying up in mine. I'm sure this is a non-nucleated. I'm using my Lucid brewing glass. Nice couple of fingers ahead. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, lumpy bumpy head on that.
Get a nose, mate.
I mean, it smells nice. It's got a bit of like that malty hoppiness about it.
You get the old style American aromas from it. So you get that sort of grapefruit, slightly malty, sort of marmalade-y.
Yeah, marmalade-y.
It smells right. It doesn't smell bad. Cheers, mate. Let's go. Let's do it. Bud.
Inoffensive.
It's what I call a short beer. For me, it's quite. There's a nice maltiness in there as well that comes through. But for me, I don't know if you agree with this or not. With a really good beer, obviously, a nice beginning, you get that mid palate and then the finish. With this one, it's all at the beginning. You get all of the grapefruit, that slight malt, bit of citrus, bit pithy, gone.
Yeah, I have to agree with that, mate. Actually, it's quite an intense experience, but very, very short-lived. It nosedives to a little bit of bitterness that lingers, but there's nothing. Yeah, like you say, there's nothing that really hangs around in it.
It's a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah. Again, I mean, the jury's out on have our palates changed as the beer been doctored, you know.
Yeah, that is a question that I come back to quite a lot now. Obviously, going back to looking at these beers with you, I'd say I'm not one that's drank a great deal of Gamma Ray over the years, so I can't sit here and say, excuse me, that's a different beer to when it was 10 years ago. What I can say quite confidently is I'm sure this beer has changed over the years.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that goes against it with the latter would be obviously the buyout.
Yeah.
When you've got somebody with the might of Heineken, you would lean towards the latter of ingredients will start to be compromised.
Yeah. And obviously even more so now because they owned I think it was 49% they owned before, which was generally logistics, I think. And now they've recently, I think it's within the last 6-7 weeks or so, they've bought out the other 51%. So they own Beavertown, lock, stock, and barrel now.
Lock, stock, and barrel, the whole shebang. It was on the cards, though, wasn't it?
I think as soon as they're anywhere near 50%, then the chances are that the other 50% or 51% is going to fall at some point.
Yeah. And I think we touched on it on a previous revisit video where we talked about Beavertown loosely, about their next move in the supermarket being something like Brewdog with shelf space.
Yeah, and obviously they've got this Space Hulk, haven't they? They've got
they've got Lupuloid in 4-packs.
Lupuloid in 4-packs.
There's 12 packs now of I don't know if it's all Gamma Ray or it's a mixture. So you've got 4 cans of neck oil, 4 Gamma, and bloody hell or whatever else is in there. So they're starting to get a lot more shelf space on supermarkets now. I've noticed that.
Which is going to come. That's going to come from the logistics arm of Heineken.
Of course it is. Of course it is. And I think this is definitely here to stay on the supermarket shelves. I think the next phase for this is maybe putting it alongside a 440 and extending the can size. I think that's the next move, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I get it's a pale ale. So, and I think all pale ales can suffer because obviously they sit in that little no man's land between lager and IPA. So it's neither either. Obviously, so it lacks the bitterness of the IPA and the crispness of a lager or a pilsner. And there are decent pale ales out there.
Well, our next video that actually we're going to do straight after. I mean, it's this bad boy. I mean, no introduction needed.
And I think, unfortunately, I think for me, I think the world has probably passed Gamma Ray on.
Yeah. Again, and we've mentioned this before, as like we were. All them years back of drinking run-of-the-mill stuff, I like me cheap crappy best bitters, Guinness, a few of the crappy lagers that were available, and then trying something like this blew me away. And again, hit the here and now of 2022, a guy that's started to dip his toes in the water with new beers, what would he think of this Gamma Ray American Pale Ale?
I think that's a really good point, because obviously we're at a stage. Your channel's been going. It's either 8 or 9 years. I think it's 8 or 9 years in January. We've been going for 3.5. I was probably like you, around the same, thinking we're of a similar age when I first drunk something like this, and we'll touch that on the Sierra Nevada, because there's a whole story around how I started drinking Sierra Nevada. But it is a completely different flavour profile to anything that I'd drunk before. And I think this is probably, when you look at some of the stuff that's in supermarkets that doesn't quite meet the expectation that you want, that's probably still a safe entry for somebody that wants something different.
Yeah, and that I think that's what.
And maybe that's where it's marketed at now.
Yeah. Well, that's what the supermarkets become now with the craft beer that's been placed on the shelves. It's not going to blow your mind. I mean, yeah, there are exceptions where you get a few releases that are like just, next level stuff, end of, bottle shop material, like I probably said before. Whereas beers like this, I mean, it's perfectly drinkable. I'm going to drink it, but it hasn't got that, there's no fireworks anymore from it.
I think it sits in the same region now as Punk IPA, as a flagship beer that is probably designed, or not designed. Its role now is to appease the masses and bring newer people in, rather than the old style drinkers like me, JB, Baz, all these people that have tried this fucking moons ago, where we thought it was absolutely fantastic, and it's probably changed over the years. Yeah,
and the same could be said about lots of other craft beers. I mean, Siren, Soundwave, again, their flagship beer.
Yeah, they've got a double dry hop version of that out, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Yeah, I think I've seen that knocking about in Waitrose.
Yeah, it might be. Well, I'll tell you what might be worth a good video for us to do, Dean, at some point, is to pick 4 beers. Maybe we'll do it on a live of the flagship beer from these breweries. So, like Punk IPA, Gamma Ray from Beavertown, Vocations Life and Death, and maybe Soundwave from Siren, and see which we think's probably the best of the lot.
Yeah, that's an interesting little comparison video. Yeah, I'm up for that.
Okay. Would you buy it again?
If it was on a ridiculous offer and I just wanted something to knock back and forget, it's one of these beers. The conversation would dominate, the beer wouldn't. Yeah. Whereas before, when you're talking about beer with another fellow beer enthusiast, you talk about the beer. This would get lost in a conversation and you just talk about anything. You know what I mean? It's one of them sort of beers. You just drink it and switch off.
Yeah. I paid £2.30 in Sainsbury's. So no.
Yeah, £2.30. It's so if it was on offer, then maybe. But I think for £2.30, you can get some of the old reduced stuff now. I mean, I picked a can of Northern Muck Divine Face last year's release.
Yeah.
An 8% double IPA in a 440ml can, and I think I paid £2.50 for it. So there you go.
It's either that or that. I know which one I'm picking up.
Yeah. There you go. Gamma Ray. Beavertown.
It's all right.
It's drinkable, but it's very, very forgettable.
Yes, it's. I think the world's moved on, and probably passed it by slightly.
Yeah. There's so much more choice now, and it's just lost in the pack.
Okay, now, Dean, another 15 minutes, mate. You're doing overtime again, pal.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I'm going to keep some of this, because we're
Yeah,
about
I'm gonna keep the rest of that as well. Yeah,
we're about to do Sierra Nevada over on my channel, and I want to see how it compares to an absolute legend.
Yes. Yeah, on the next one.
See you, bud.
Cheers.